Hi, Hammers fans! Quick reminder, drop a like, hit subscribe, and leave your comment below. That way, you'll always be the first to catch every update about West Ham United. Tony Gale did not mince his words. If West Ham want to avoid relegation, Nuno Espirito Santo must immediately start Callum Wilson. The former Hammers defender, who played almost 400 games for the club, believes that the 33-year-old striker could be the spark to reignite a team that currently looks lost and sinking fast. And the urgency could not be greater. The team face Leeds United tomorrow, and any setback could deepen the crisis that has already taken hold at the London Stadium. Wilson, who arrived on a free transfer in the summer and earns £50,000 a week, has had very few opportunities under the new manager. He has only started once so far and played a handful of minutes. For Gale, that is simply incomprehensible. The ex-defender was at the ground for the 2-0 home defeat to Brentford and described the performance as self-destructive. He said it was painful to watch West Ham lose at home to a side that had only won once away from home before that match. Tony Gale did not limit himself to criticism. He offered solutions. According to him, Nuno needs to choose a proper center forward, someone who knows how to play with his back to goal, hold off defenders, and finish under pressure. And for the former player, that man is Callum Wilson. Gale insisted that Lucas Paquetá, Jared Bowen, and Crysencio Summerville are all fine players, but none of them are true strikers. He praised the pace of Bowen and Summerville and the technical flair of Paquetá, but said the team are missing someone to turn those moves into goals, someone who lives inside the box and knows how to carry responsibility. Gale's view is crystal clear. Wilson brings what West Ham have been lacking lately: experience, presence, and composure. He believes the team could even try pairing young Callum Marshall with Wilson up front, but never leave the youngster on his own. For the ex-defender, the boy has talent, but is not ready to lead the line under such pressure. The veteran, on the other hand, has lived through many Premier League battles and has the maturity to bear the weight of the shirt when everything seems to collapse. Nuno, according to Gale, must also review his tactical setup. West Ham look fragmented, without a clear plan. The idea of reverting to two strikers could be an interesting alternative, especially if the team adopt a back five to avoid being too exposed. The ex-defender reminded that the side need a stable system, with well-defined roles, where every player understands his task. They need organization and leaders, he summed up. And Tony Gale knows what he is talking about. He lived through an era when West Ham had a strong identity, a team known for its grit and self-belief. He saw the club finish third in the old First Division in 1986 and believes that spirit must be rediscovered. To him, the current problem is not only technical, but psychological. The team have lost confidence and, without a clear direction, crumble at crucial moments. There is a detail that makes Gale's words even more symbolic. Nuno Espirito Santo has already faced West Ham this season, while in charge of Nottingham Forest. In that match, West Ham won 3-0, a performance that seemed to herald a promising campaign, but proved to be a false dawn. It was, ironically, Nuno's last match in charge of Forest before being sacked. Now, months later, he returns to rebuild his reputation in the very same place where he last saw his old team collapse. That coincidence highlights the scale of the challenge. The Portuguese coach inherits a dressing room that has lost its way, and after only a few rounds, finds itself deep in the relegation zone. Gale believes this is a turning point. Either the team rediscover the basics, discipline, courage, simplicity, or the nightmare of relegation will become inevitable. And for him, the first step is simple and direct. Nuno must start Callum Wilson. He is the team's center forward, end of story. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. Tony Gale went beyond simple tactical suggestions. The former West Ham defender spoke with the authority of someone who has lived the dressing room, felt the pressure of the fans, and knows what it means to fight for survival in the top flight. For him, Nuno Espirito Santo must understand that the Premier League shows no mercy to hesitation, especially when you are in the relegation zone. The Portuguese coach, still adjusting, seems to be testing different formations and players, but Gale believes that is precisely the mistake. This is not the time for experiments. It is time for firm decisions and a clear plan to restore stability to the team. The former player was categorical when he said that bringing on young Callum Marshall during the defeat to Brentford was premature. He recognizes the boy's potential but insists that, in this kind of situation, experience outweighs promise. Wilson, with nearly 90 Premier League goals, carries a record that commands respect from opponents and trust from teammates. Gale highlighted that an experienced striker not only scores goals, but also helps to steady the team in difficult moments, guides the younger players, and knows when to press or slow down the play. For him, that is the difference between survival and collapse. Gale's analysis also carries an emotional tone, almost like a confession. He reminded that West Ham have always been a club with soul, one that survived hard times through the commitment of players who understood the weight of the shirt. The ex-defender stressed that the current squad must rediscover that spirit. They need to regroup, talk, and realize they are in a battle, he said. He demanded unity and accountability, no excuses, no finger-pointing at the manager. The players must face the problem head-on and show character. Gale also pointed to the psychological side of the coming fixtures. The game against Leeds, for instance, will be away on a Friday night, in a stadium that tends to explode with atmosphere. The former player warned that the opening phase will be a test of nerve, 15 minutes of pure pressure, when the team will need to stay calm and avoid collapse. He believes that if West Ham can get through that period without conceding, they will have space to use the pace of Bowen and Somerville on the counter. But to do that, they need someone up front to finish. And once again, that someone is Wilson. Another point Gale made is the need for tactical clarity. In his view, West Ham looked confused, with players unsure of what to do on the pitch. He said that, during the loss to Brentford, he could not figure out what the plan was. They looked lost, he summed up. According to Gale, the manager is still learning about the squad, but must act fast. Nuno now needs to find one or two leaders, people who talk, shout, and unite others. That absence of a strong voice on the field, for him, is the most worrying symptom of all. The ex-player also made a point of stressing the fans' importance. Gale knows the West Ham supporters well, passionate, demanding, and above all, loyal. He believes that if the team shows heart and fight, the fans will respond in kind, even if results take time. But if the team continues to appear apathetic, the relationship could sour completely. They complain, of course, but they are always there. If the team shows fight, the fans will follow, he said. This mixture of concern, passion, and love for the club defines Gale's tone. He knows the situation is serious but sees clear paths to recovery. Define a leader in attack, organize the defense, simplify the game, and reconnect the team with the supporters. Deep down, what he calls for is a return to West Ham's roots, that old fighting identity that once made them a feared opponent. And in Gale's mind, the symbol of that rebirth could well be Callum Wilson, the man who, until now, has barely been given the chance to prove himself. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. Tony Gale left no doubt about his opinion. West Ham urgently need to find their way again, and that starts with practical decisions. He was not talking about revolutions, but about returning to the basics. In his view, the team needs structure, hierarchy, and clarity, elements that seem to have been lost in the chaos of recent weeks. When a squad starts to play without conviction, without knowing what their priorities are, mistakes multiply. That was exactly what he saw against Brentford, a side without identity, with no clear plan, and players being used in roles they do not master. And the worst part, according to Gale, is that West Ham have no time to waste. With only 4 points from 8 matches and a growing gap to safety, the club must react now. He warned that the matches against the newly promoted teams, Leeds and Burnley, will be crucial. These games are worth 6 points, he said, recalling that the team already stumbled against Sunderland on the opening day. Gale claimed that losing again to a direct rival would be almost irreversible. For him, West Ham's survival will depend on these next few weeks, when the group can still reorganize and rebuild its confidence. The interview also touched on an issue that goes beyond the pitch: recruitment policy. Gale was direct in saying that the club must act in January, but admitted that it will only make sense if the team can stay alive until then. If they reach the market already adrift, with low morale and a growing gap to the 17th place, it will be difficult to attract good players, and those who agree to come will demand higher wages. The message is simple: either West Ham react on the pitch now, or they will pay the price later. The veteran also analyzed the difficulties faced by Nuno Espirito Santo in charge. The Portuguese is known for his defensive discipline and indeed has work to do. West Ham have the league's worst goal difference, sitting at -12. The defensive system is disorganized, and the coach has just lost centre-back Konstantinos Mavropanos to injury. Gale acknowledged Max Kilman's talent and said he sees potential for him to become the key man at the back, but warned that the defender urgently needs to regain confidence. That will come week by week if they establish consistency, he said. The attacking situation is not much better. Nicholas Füllkrug's injury, after arriving with great expectations and barely playing, has further disrupted the offensive plan. Paquetá was deployed as a false nine against Brentford, and Bowen has been tried there too. But for Gale, this takes both players away from their strengths. Paquetá is a playmaker, not a finisher. Bowen is a winger, not a target man. It's time to get back to basics, he summarized. In his view, constant improvisation destabilizes the team, causes players to lose their positional sense, and erodes collective confidence. There is something almost symbolic in the way the former defender talks about Wilson. He speaks of him not only as a striker, but as a point of balance, a player who, through age and experience, represents exactly what West Ham need most right now: calm amid chaos. Gale believes the forward can still become decisive, not just for his goals, but for the quiet leadership he brings to the pitch. He is someone who understands pressure, who has played through it, and who knows how to manage moments when every touch matters. Gale's final warning is a call to reality. He reminds that the Premier League is merciless with hesitation, and that the line between recovery and collapse is incredibly thin. They need to regroup, establish a pattern, and stick to it, he said, emphasizing the importance of tactical discipline. Beneath every sentence lies the same message: West Ham are at a turning point. Either they rediscover their identity and show courage, or they will face the same nightmare that has swallowed so many others: relegation. Even so, there is a spark of hope in Gale's tone. He believes the club still have the strength to react. He cites Bowen's energy, Paquetá's creativity, and the young players' hunger as proof that there is enough quality to stay up. What is missing is direction, and for him, that direction must come from Nuno Espirito Santo, who still has time to turn chaos into resilience. The Portuguese coach, who has seen highs and lows in his career, could find in West Ham the chance to rebuild himself, but only if he turns theory into action quickly. In the end, Tony Gale sums up the dilemma with the blunt honesty of someone who knows the club's DNA. West Ham fans forgive almost anything except a lack of fight. If the team can play with heart again, he believes the stadium will come alive once more, and the old East London spirit will return. And perhaps, with Callum Wilson finally leading the attack, the club will rediscover the strength and pride that seem to have faded.